The alarm screamed through the ship like a wounded animal. Red lights flashed in the corridors of the horizon, and every crew member stopped what they were doing. Yuna was in the medical bay, checking her supplies, when the sound hit her ears. She dropped the bandages she was holding and ran to the bridge. Captain Tay stood at the center console, his face serious. Around him, the crew watched the main screen with wide eyes. Yuna pushed through them until she could see what they were looking at. A ship was burning in space. Flames poured from its sides like blood from a wound. The vessel was spinning slowly, pieces breaking off and floating away into the darkness. It was a colony ship, the kind that carried families to new worlds. But this was not a human ship. "It's Vec," said Hana, the communications officer. Her voice was barely a whisper. "The signal is coming from a Vec colony ship." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew about the Vec. They were predators, hunters who had ruled their part of the galaxy for thousands of years. They stood taller than humans, with dark fur covering their bodies and claws that could cut through metal. Their eyes glowed in the dark, and their teeth were made for tearing flesh. Most species in the Alliance feared them. Some hated them. "Play the distress signal," Captain Tay ordered. Hana pressed a button, and a voice filled the bridge. It was rough and broken, filled with pain and fear. The words were in the common tongue, but the accent was clearly Vec. "This is colony vessel Starfall. We have been attacked. Our engines are destroyed. Fire is spreading through all sections. We have wounded. We have children. Please, anyone, help us." The message repeated, playing over and over like a prayer that would never be answered. Yuna felt her heart beating fast. She looked at the burning ship on the screen and thought about the people inside. The families. The children. They were Vec. Yes. They were predators, but they were dying. "How far away are they?" Yuna asked. Captain Tay looked at her with surprise. 20 minutes at full speed. "But Yuna, they are Vec. This could be a trap. Does that look like a trap to you?" Yuna pointed at the screen. Another explosion ripped through the ship, and more fire poured into space. "They are dying, Captain. They have children on board." "Vec children," said Jin, the weapons officer. He was a big man with a scar on his face from an old battle. "Vec children grow up to be Vec adults. They will remember this. Yuna, they will remember that humans saved them, and they will still hate us. Or, they will remember that humans saved them, and they will not hate us," Yuna replied. "We do not know what will happen, but we know what is happening right now. Right now, there are children burning to death on that ship, and we can help them." Captain Tay rubbed his face with his hands. He was tired. They all were. The Horizon had been in space for 6 months, and everyone wanted to go home. Getting involved with the Vec would mean more problems, more danger, more time away from Earth. But Tay was not a man who could watch children die and do nothing. "Set course for the Vec ship," he said finally. Full speed. The crew moved quickly. The Horizon turned and flew toward the burning vessel. Yuna ran back to the medical bay to prepare. She gathered bandages, medicines, burn treatments, and everything else she could carry. Her hands were shaking, but she did not stop. Hana's voice came through the ship's speakers. "Yuna, I have been listening to more of their communications. Most of the adults are dead. The attack killed them. There are some survivors in the lower sections, but, Yuna, there are children trapped in the nursery section. The fire is getting close to them." Yuna closed her eyes for a moment. "The nursery, where the youngest ones would be kept. The babies and the cubs who could not fight or run or save themselves. Can we transport them out?" Yuna asked. "No, the fire is causing too much interference. Someone will have to go in and get them." Yuna did not hesitate. "I will go." "Yuna, no." Captain Tay's voice came through the speakers now. "The Vec ship is falling apart. The fire is everywhere. If you go in there, you might not come out." "Then I will not come out," Yuna said simply. "But I will not sit here and listen to children die." She finished packing her supplies and headed for the airlock. Some of the crew tried to stop her. They grabbed her arms and told her she was crazy. They reminded her that the Vec were dangerous, that even their children had claws and teeth. They told her that she was just one human, and she could not save everyone. Yuna listened to all of them. Then she pulled her arms free and kept walking. At the airlock, she found Day waiting for her. He was the ship's engineer, a quiet man who rarely spoke. In his hands, he held a fire suit. "You will need this," he said. "It will protect you from the heat. For a little while, at least." Yuna took the suit and put it on. It was heavy and uncomfortable, but she did not care. "Thank you, Day. Do not thank me," he said. "Just come back alive." The horizon connected to the Vec ship with a loud bang. The airlock opened, and smoke poured in. Yuna could see flames through the smoke, dancing like evil spirits in the darkness. The heat hit her face like a slap. She took a deep breath and stepped through the airlock. The Vec ship was dying. The walls were black with burns, and the floor was covered with broken metal and ash. Bodies lay everywhere. Vec adults who had died trying to fight the fire or escape it. Their fur was burned, their eyes empty. Yuna wanted to stop and close their eyes, to give them some respect in death. But there was no time. She followed the signs on the walls, looking for the nursery. The smoke was so thick that she could barely see. Her fire suit protected her from the heat, but she could feel it pressing against her, trying to get in. Her lungs burned with every breath. Then she heard it. A sound that cut through the noise of the fire and the breaking ship. A cry. High and scared and desperate. The cry of a child. Yuna ran toward the sound. She climbed over fallen beams and pushed through burning doors. The fire was all around her now, reaching for her with bright orange hands. Her suit was starting to fail. She could feel hot spots forming on her skin, places where the heat was getting through, but she did not stop. She found the nursery at the end of a long corridor. The door was sealed shut, protecting the room from the fire. Yuna could hear more cries from inside. Many children. Many scared voices calling for help. She tried to open the door, but it would not move. The lock was broken. She pulled and pushed and kicked, but nothing worked. Then, she looked down at her belt. She had brought a cutting tool, meant for medical emergencies. It was not made for cutting through doors. It was small and weak compared to a real tool, but it was all she had. Yuna pulled out the cutter and started to work on the door. The heat was getting worse. She could smell her own hair starting to burn. Sweat poured down her face, and her hands were shaking so badly that she could barely hold the tool. Inside the nursery, the children were screaming now. They knew someone was trying to get in. They knew help was close. They were calling out, begging, crying. "I am coming," Yuna whispered. "Hold on. I am coming." The door finally broke open. Yuna fell through it and landed on the floor of the nursery. The room was filled with smoke, but the fire had not reached here yet. And there, huddled together in the corner, were 6 Vec cubs. They were small. Smaller than Yuna had expected. Their fur was gray and soft, and their eyes were huge with fear. Their claws were tiny, not yet grown into the weapons they would become. They looked at Yuna with terror, not understanding why a human was standing in front of them. Yuna took off her helmet so they could see her face. She smiled at them, even though she was scared too. "It is okay," she said softly. "I am here to help you. I am going to get you out of here." The cubs did not move. They pressed closer together, their small bodies shaking. Yuna did not have time to earn their trust. The fire was coming. She could hear it roaring closer, eating through the walls. In a few minutes, it would reach the nursery. She walked toward the cubs slowly, keeping her hands where they could see them. One of them hissed at her, a tiny sound that was meant to be scary. Yuna almost smiled. It reminded her of a kitten trying to be a lion. "I know you are scared," she said. "I am scared too. But we have to leave now. The fire is coming, and I cannot let it hurt you." She reached down and picked up the first cub. It struggled in her arms, its small claws scratching at her suit. But Yuna held it gently, carefully, the way she would hold a human baby. "Come," she said to the others. "Follow me. I will keep you safe." The fire was at the door now. The flames were licking at the walls, turning the metal red with heat. Yuna held the cub tight against her chest and looked at the 5 others still huddled in the corner. There was no more time for words. She scooped up 2 more cubs in her free arm and started walking toward the door. The remaining 3 followed her, too scared to stay alone. The fire welcomed them with open arms. The corridor was a river of flame. Fire poured from the walls and ceiling, filling the air with smoke and heat. Yuna held 3 cubs against her body and looked back at the 3 others following behind her. Their small legs were shaking, and their eyes were filled with tears from the smoke. She had to move. Every second they stayed here was a second closer to death. "Stay close to me," Yuna said. "Do not stop. Do not look at the fire. Just follow my legs. And keep moving." The smallest cub in her arms made a soft crying sound. It buried its face in her chest, hiding from the horror around them. Yuna felt its tiny heart beating fast against her skin. She started walking. The fire suit was failing now. She could feel burns forming on her legs and back, places where the heat was breaking through. The pain was terrible, but she pushed it away. There would be time for pain later. Right now, she had to focus on the cubs. The path back to the airlock was blocked. A section of the ceiling had fallen, creating a wall of burning metal and broken wires. Yuna looked at it for a moment, her mind racing. There had to be another way. "This way," she said, turning down a different corridor. "We will find another path." The cubs followed her without question. They were too scared to do anything else. One of them tripped over a piece of debris and fell. Before Yuna could react, another cub grabbed it and pulled it back up. They were helping each other, she realized. Even in the middle of this nightmare, they were looking out for each other. The new corridor was darker than the first one. The lights had died here, and the only illumination came from the fires burning in rooms on either side. Yuna could hear the ship groaning around her, the metal twisting and breaking as the fire ate through it. The vessel did not have much time left. She found a map on the wall, burned and hard to read but still useful. The airlock was 3 sections away. If they moved fast, they could make it. "We are close," Yuna told the cubs. "Just a little more. You are being so brave." One of the cubs walking behind her looked up at her with wide eyes. It was a female, Yuna thought, with darker fur than the others. There was something in her eyes that looked like confusion, like she did not understand why this human was helping them. Yuna did not have time to explain. She kept moving. The next section was worse. The fire had done terrible damage here. Bodies lay on the floor. Vec adults who had died trying to escape. Some of them were holding each other. Some of them were reaching toward doors that had never opened. The cubs made small sounds of grief when they saw them. They recognized some of the faces. "Do not look," Yuna said quickly. "Keep your eyes on me, just on me." But the cubs had seen. Yuna knew they had seen. These images would stay with them forever, burned into their minds like the fire was burning through the ship. They moved through the section as fast as they could. The floor was hot now, almost too hot to walk on. The 3 cubs behind Yuna were struggling. Their small paws were not made for this kind of heat. One of them cried out in pain. Yuna stopped. She looked at the cubs in her arms, then at the ones behind her. She could not carry all 6. She was not strong enough. But she could not leave any of them behind either. She put 2 of the cubs down gently. "Wait here," she said. "Just for a moment." She took off her fire suit jacket and wrapped it around the feet of the 3 cubs who were walking. It was not much protection, but it was better than nothing. Now her upper body was exposed to the heat. She could feel it pressing against her skin, trying to cook her alive. "Okay," she said, picking the 2 cubs back up. "Let us keep going." They moved through another corridor, then another. The ship was shaking now. Great trembles that made the walls vibrate. Something was breaking apart deep inside the vessel. They did not have much time. Then Yuna saw it. The airlock, the door to the horizon, to safety, to life. It was only 50 meters away, but between them and the airlock was a wall of fire. The flames stretched from floor to ceiling, blocking the entire corridor. The heat coming from them was like standing in front of the sun. Yuna's skin was already red and blistered. Walking through that fire would kill her. She looked down at the cubs. 6 small faces looked back at her. They were trusting her. They were counting on her. They did not understand that she was just as scared as they were. "I need you to hold on to me," Yuna said. "All of you. Hold on as tight as you can, and do not let go." "Can you do that?" The cubs nodded. The 3 on the ground grabbed her legs, wrapping their small arms around her. The 3 in her arms pressed closer to her chest. Yuna could feel their claws digging into her skin, drawing blood. But she did not care. She took a deep breath and started running. The fire hit her like a fist. Pain exploded across her body, covering her arms and face and legs. She could smell her own flesh burning, could feel her skin peeling away under the heat. But she did not stop. She could not stop. The cubs were screaming. The heat was touching them too, even through her body. Yuna tried to cover them as much as she could, using herself as a shield. Let the fire take her. Let it burn her to ash, but do not let it touch the children. 10 meters, 20, 30. The pain was everything now. Yuna could not think, could not see, could not breathe. She was just moving, 1 foot in front of the other, pushing through the flames. 40 meters, 45. Her legs gave out. She fell forward, crashing to the floor just in front of the airlock. The cubs tumbled around her, crying and screaming. But they were alive. They were all alive. The fire was behind them now. They had made it through. Yuna tried to stand, but her body would not obey her. Everything hurt. Her skin was black in places, red in others. She could barely see through the smoke and tears in her eyes. "Go," she whispered to the cubs. "The door is right there. Go through it. You will be safe." But the cubs did not go. They stayed with her, pressing their small bodies against hers. The female cub with the dark fur licked Yuna's face, making soft sounds. They were not going to leave her. The airlock door opened. Day stood there, his face white with shock when he saw Yuna. He ran forward and grabbed her, pulling her toward the door. The cubs came with her, refusing to let go. "Close the door," someone was shouting. "The ship is going to explode." They fell through the airlock together, Yuna and the 6 cubs. The door slammed shut behind them just as the Vec ship began to break apart. Through the small window, Yuna could see the vessel tearing itself to pieces, fire and metal flying in all directions. But she was too tired to watch, too tired to care. The cubs were still holding on to her. Their small bodies were warm against her burned skin. One of them was purring softly, a sound that vibrated through her chest. "You are safe now," Yuna whispered. "I told you I would keep you safe." Then the darkness took her. She woke up once during the journey to the medical bay. Day was carrying her through the corridors of the horizon, and the cubs were following behind him. The crew members they passed were staring with wide eyes. Some of them looked scared. Some of them looked angry, but none of them tried to stop the cubs. "The Vec survivors," Yuna managed to say. "The adults on the ship. We rescued 12 of them," Day told her. "They are in the cargo bay, being treated by Hana. But Yuna, you saved the only children. Without you, they would all be dead." Yuna closed her eyes. 12 survivors out of how many? How many hundreds had been on that ship? How many families had been destroyed in one terrible attack? "Who did this?" she asked. "Who attacked them?" Day's face darkened. "We do not know yet, but the Vec will find out. And when they do, there will be war." Yuna wanted to say more, but the darkness was pulling her down again. The last thing she felt before she lost consciousness was a small paw holding her hand. One of the cubs had grabbed her fingers and would not let go. In the medical bay, the doctors worked on Yuna for hours. Her burns were severe. The fire had damaged nearly 40% of her body. They used every treatment they had, every medicine and technology available. But even with all their work, they were not sure she would survive. The cubs refused to leave. The doctors tried to take them away, tried to put them in a separate room where they would be safe and comfortable. But every time someone tried to move them, they fought. They scratched and bit and hissed, making themselves impossible to handle. Finally, Hana came to the medical bay. She had been working with the Vex survivors, learning their language and their customs. She knelt down in front of the cubs and spoke to them softly. "She saved your lives," Hana said. "She walked through fire for you. We are trying to save her now. But we need space to work. Will you let us help her?" The cubs looked at each other. They were so young, so small. But there was intelligence in their eyes. They understood what Hana was saying. The female cub with the dark fur stepped forward. She looked at Yuna lying on the medical bed, covered in bandages and connected to machines. Then she looked back at Hana. "We stay," she said in broken common tongue. "We stay with Pack Mother." Hana's eyes went wide. Pack Mother. In Vec culture, that was one of the highest honors. It meant that the cubs had accepted Yuna as their family, their protector, their parent. The doctors looked at each other. They did not know what to do. "Let them stay," Hana said finally. "Put them in the corner where they will not be in the way. But let them stay." I think she would want that." The doctors agreed. They set up a small area in the corner of the medical bay with blankets and water. The cubs curled up there together, their eyes never leaving Yuna. They watched every movement the doctors made, every machine that beeped, every medicine that was given. And when the doctors finally finished their work and stepped back, the cubs moved. They climbed onto the bed, careful not to touch any of the wires or bandages. They arranged themselves around Yuna's body, 6 small shapes forming a protective circle. Then they began to purr. The sound filled the medical bay, low and warm and steady. The doctors had never heard anything like it. It was not just a sound. It was a feeling. A vibration that seemed to make the air itself softer. "What are they doing?" one of the doctors asked. Hana smiled, tears running down her face. "They are healing her," she said. "In their own way, they are trying to heal her." The night passed slowly. The cubs did not sleep. They stayed awake, purring and watching, guarding the human who had walked through fire for them. And somewhere deep inside her burned and broken body, Yuna held on to life. 3 days passed. Yuna did not wake up. The doctors said her body was fighting hard. The burns were healing, slowly, thanks to the advanced medicine on the horizon. But the damage was deep. Her lungs had breathed in too much smoke. Her heart had worked too hard. Her brain had suffered from the heat and the lack of oxygen. She was alive, but barely. The cubs never left her side. They took turns sleeping, always making sure that at least 3 of them were awake and watching. They ate only when Hana brought them food, and even then, they ate quickly. Not wanting to be away from Yuna for too long, the crew of the Horizon did not know what to think. Some of them were touched by the cubs' loyalty. Others were scared. The Vec were predators. After all, what would happen when the cubs grew up? What would happen when their claws became weapons and their teeth became knives? Jin was the most worried. He came to the medical bay on the 2nd day, standing in the doorway with his arms crossed. "This is not safe," he said to Hana. "Those things should be locked up with the other Vex survivors, not sleeping next to our medic." "Those things are children," Hana replied, "and they are not hurting anyone. Not yet." Jin looked at the cubs with hard eyes. "But they will. It is in their nature. You cannot change what something is." One of the cubs heard Jin's voice and lifted its head. It was a male with lighter fur than the others. He looked at Jin without fear, his young eyes meeting the human stare. "Bad man," the cub said in broken common tongue. "Angry man. We not hurt, Pack Mother. We protect." Jin's face went red. "Did that thing just call me bad?" "He is learning our language," Hana said calmly. "And he is right. They have done nothing but try to protect Yuna since she rescued them. If you cannot see that, then maybe the problem is not with them. Jin opened his mouth to argue, but Captain Tay appeared behind him. Jin, I need you on the bridge, the captain said. We have received a message from the Vec homeworld. They want to know about their people. Jin gave the cubs one last look, then turned and left. Hana let out a breath she had been holding. Thank you, Captain, she said. Tay walked into the medical bay and looked at Yuna. His face was tired and sad. She should not have gone in there alone, he said. I should have stopped her. You could not have stopped her, Hana replied. You know that. Once Yuna decides to help someone, nothing can change her mind. The captain nodded slowly. He looked at the cubs arranged around Yuna's bed. The female with dark fur was cleaning Yuna's hand with her tongue, gentle and careful around the bandages. The Vec survivors are asking about the children, Tay said. They want to know if they are safe. They are safe. They are here. Here? Tay raised an eyebrow. With Yuna? They will not leave her. I tried to explain to the adult Vec, but they did not believe me. They want to see for themselves. Tay thought about this for a moment. Bring one of them here. The highest-ranking one. Let them see that we are taking care of their children. Hana went to the cargo bay where the Vec survivors were being kept. Most of them were injured, though none as badly as Yuna. They had watched the human ship rescue them from the burning vessel with a mixture of confusion and distrust. Humans were not known for helping Vec. The two species had been enemies for a long time. The highest-ranking survivor was a female named Kira. She was tall and strong, with gray fur that had stripes of black running through it. Her left arm was bandaged where the fire had burned her, and there was a cut above her eye. But she stood straight and proud, refusing to show weakness. The cubs, Kira said when Hana approached her. I must see them. I am taking you to them now, Hana replied. But I must warn you, they are not in the place you might expect. Kira followed Hana through the corridors of the horizon. The human crew members they passed looked at her with fear and suspicion. Kira ignored them. She had more important things to worry about. When they reached the medical bay, Kira stopped in the doorway. Her eyes went wide at what she saw. Yuna lay on the bed, covered in bandages and connected to machines. She looked small and broken, barely alive. And around her, arranged in a perfect circle, were the 6 cubs. They were pressed against her body, their small heads resting on her arms and legs. The sound of their purring filled the room. What is this? Kira whispered. They will not leave her, Hana explained. The human who saved them. Her name is Yuna. She walked through fire to rescue them from the nursery. Now they refuse to be separated from her. Kira walked slowly into the room. The cubs lifted their heads when they saw her, but they did not move from their positions around Yuna. You know me, Kira said to them in the Vec language. I am Kira. I knew your parents. Come with me now. Leave this human, and come with your own people. The female cub with dark fur stood up. She looked at Kira with eyes that were too old for her young face. She is our people now, the cub said. She is Pack Mother. She bled for us. She burned for us. We will not leave her. Kira's face changed. The suspicion and distrust melted away, replaced by something that looked like wonder. She turned to Hana. This human, Kira said. Tell me what she did. Tell me everything. Hana told her. She told her about the distress signal, about Yuna volunteering to go alone, about the fire suit that failed and the corridor filled with flames. She told her about Yuna using her own body as a shield, about the cubs refusing to leave her even when they reached safety. When Hana finished, Kira was silent for a long time. She looked at Yuna lying on the bed, so small and fragile compared to a Vec. This human had done something that many Vec would not do. She had risked everything, given everything, for children who were not her own species. In my culture, Kira said slowly, there is no greater honor than to protect the young. Parents die for their children without hesitation. It is expected. It is natural. She paused. But for someone outside the pack to do this, For a stranger to walk through fire for cubs they have never met. This is rare. This is sacred. She did not think about whether they were Vec or human, Hana said. She just knew they were children who needed help. Kira nodded. She walked closer to the bed and knelt down so she was at eye level with the cubs. I will not take you from your pack, mother, she said softly. But I will stay nearby. If you allow it. I will help watch over her as she heals. The cubs looked at each other. Then the female with dark fur nodded. You may stay, she said. But if anyone tries to hurt Pack Mother, we will fight them. Even you. Kira smiled, showing her sharp teeth. Good. That is how it should be. The news spread quickly through the ship. The Vec survivors learned what Yuna had done, and their feelings toward the human crew began to change. They were still cautious, still unsure. But there was respect now, and something that might become gratitude. On the fourth day, Yuna's condition got worse. It happened suddenly. One moment, the machines were beeping steadily, showing that her body was fighting. The next moment, alarms were screaming, and doctors were running into the medical bay. Her heart, one doctor shouted. It is failing. The damage was too severe. The cubs were pushed aside as the doctors worked. They huddled together in the corner, watching with terrified eyes. Kira stood beside them, her face pale. Save her, Kira said. You must save her. The doctors did everything they could. They used machines to keep her heart beating. They gave her medicines that were meant to make her stronger. But Yuna's body had given too much. It had nothing left. We are losing her, a doctor said. His voice was hollow. The female cub broke free from the group and ran to the bed. She climbed up next to Yuna's head and pressed her small face against the human's cheek. No, the cub whispered. Pack Mother, no. You cannot leave. We need you. Please. The other cubs followed. They surrounded Yuna again, pressing close to her body. They began to purr, louder than before. The sound filled the room, vibrating through the walls and floor. The doctors stopped working. They watched as the cubs poured everything they had into that sound. It was not just noise. It was love and fear and desperate hope, all mixed together. Yuna's heart beat once, then twice, then again. The alarms stopped screaming. The machines showed her heart, finding its rhythm. Weak, but steady. The doctors looked at each other with disbelief. That is impossible, one of them said. But it had. Somehow, in some way that science could not explain. The cubs had pulled Yuna back from the edge of death. Kira fell to her knees. Tears were running down her fur, something that Vec almost never allowed others to see. She lives, Kira whispered. The Pack Mother lives. The cubs stayed where they were, pressed against Yuna's body. They did not stop purring. They would not stop until she opened her eyes, and somewhere deep inside Yuna's mind, she could hear them. She could feel their warmth against her skin. She was lost in darkness, floating in a place between life and death. But the purring was like a rope, pulling her back toward the light. She was not ready to give up yet. The first thing Yuna noticed was the warmth. It surrounded her like a blanket. Soft and gentle and alive. Not the burning heat of the fire that still haunted her dreams, but something different. Something safe. The second thing she noticed was the sound. A low, steady vibration that seemed to come from everywhere at once. It moved through her body like music, making her bones hum and her heart beat stronger. Yuna tried to open her eyes, but they were so heavy. Everything was heavy. Her arms, her legs, her thoughts. She felt like she was buried under a mountain of exhaustion, but the warmth was calling her back to the world. The sound was pulling her toward the light. Slowly, painfully, Yuna opened her eyes. The ceiling above her was white, medical bay lights. She was on the horizon. She was alive. Yuna tried to move, but something was holding her down. No, not something. Many somethings. She looked down at her body and felt her breath catch in her throat. Cubs. 6 Vec cubs were arranged around her on the bed. They were pressed against her sides. Her legs, her arms, their small bodies rose and fell with each breath, and the purring sound was coming from them. They were all asleep, except for one. The female cub with dark fur was watching Yuna with bright, golden eyes. When she saw that Yuna was awake, her ears went straight up, and her tail began to wave. "Pack mother," the cub whispered. "You are awake." Yuna's throat was dry and painful. She tried to speak, but only a rough sound came out. The cub immediately reached for something beside the bed and brought it to Yuna's lips. "A cup of water. Small drinks," the cub said. "Doctor told us. Small drinks only." Yuna sipped the water carefully. It was the best thing she had ever tasted. When she had enough to speak, she looked at the cub with confusion. "You stayed," Yuna said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "We all stayed." The cub gestured at the others sleeping around her. "We never leave Pack Mother." "Pack Mother." The words hit Yuna like a wave. She did not fully understand what they meant, but she could feel their weight, their importance. "How long?" Yuna asked. "How long have I been sleeping?" 7 days. The cub replied. "You almost died. 2 times. The machine stopped, and the doctors said you would leave us. But we would not let you. We held you here." Yuna looked at the small cubs around her. 7 days. They had stayed with her for 7 days, refusing to leave, refusing to let her go. She felt tears forming in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for not giving up on me." The cub tilted her head in a way that seemed confused. "You did not give up on us. In the fire, in the smoke. You could have run alone and saved yourself. But you carried us. Why would we give up on you?" Before Yuna could answer, the other cubs began to wake up. They stirred and stretched, and when they saw that Yuna's eyes were open, they made sounds of joy, high, happy sounds that Yuna had never heard before. One by one, they came to her face and pressed their noses against her cheeks. It was a greeting, Yuna realized. A Vec greeting. They were welcoming her back to life. The door to the medical bay opened, and Hana rushed in. Her face was filled with relief and happiness when she saw Yuna awake. "You are back," Hana said, tears running down her face. "We were so worried. The doctors said it was a miracle." "The cubs," Yuna said. "They stayed with me. They never left. Not once. Even when we tried to take them to eat or rest, they refused. They said they had to stay with their pack mother." Yuna looked at the cubs again. They were watching her with such love, such devotion. She had known them for only a few hours before she lost consciousness. She had carried them through fire and smoke, and somehow, in that short time, they had decided that she was their family. "I do not understand," Yuna said. "I am not Vec. I am human. How can I be their pack mother?" The door opened again, and a tall figure walked in. It was Kira, the Vec survivor, who had been watching over the cubs. She moved slowly, with respect, stopping at the foot of Yuna's bed. "Pack is not about blood," Kira said. Her voice was deep and serious. "Pack is about choice, about sacrifice. You chose to risk your life for children you had never met. You sacrificed your body to bring them through the fire. In the eyes of Vec tradition, you have earned the right to be called their mother." Yuna felt overwhelmed. She was just a medic. She had done what anyone should do when children are in danger. She did not think of herself as special or brave. "I just wanted to help them," Yuna said. "That is all. That is everything," Kira replied. "In my whole life, I have never seen someone from another species do what you did. Humans and Vec have been enemies for a long time. We have fought wars. We have killed each other. And yet, when you saw our children burning, you did not think about any of that. You only thought about saving them." The female cub with dark fur climbed up onto Yuna's chest. She was careful not to press on any of the bandages. She looked into Yuna's eyes with an expression that was far too serious for such a young face. "My name is Sora," the cub said. "My parents named me before they died. I want you to know my name. Pack Mother. Sora, Yuna repeated. The name felt good in her mouth. It is beautiful. This is my brother Wu, Sora continued, pointing to a cub with lighter fur. And these are Nari, Un, Te, and Bora. She pointed to each cub in turn. We are your pack now. Wherever you go, we go. Whatever you face, we face together. Yuna looked at Captain Te standing in the doorway. He had been watching the scene with a complicated expression on his face. Captain, Yuna said, I did not mean to cause problems for the ship. If the cubs need to go with the other Vex survivors, I understand. Captain Te walked into the room and stood beside her bed. He looked at the cubs, then at Yuna, then at Kira. When you went onto that burning ship, I thought you were being foolish, he said. I thought you were throwing your life away for nothing. I was wrong. He paused. You did not just save 6 children. Yuna, you changed something. The Vex survivors look at us differently now. They talk to us. They thank us. For the first time in 100 years, humans and Vec are not looking at each other as enemies. Because of the cubs? Yuna asked. Because of you. Because you showed them that not all humans are what they thought we were. The captain smiled, something he rarely did. The cubs can stay with you, Yuna, for as long as they want to, for as long as you want them. Sora made a happy sound and buried her face in Yuna's neck. The other cubs purred louder, expressing their joy in the only way they knew how, but there was still pain in Yuna's body. She tried to move her left arm and gasped at the sharp feeling that shot through her. The burns are healing, Hana said gently. But it will take time. Many weeks. Maybe months. You will have scars. Yuna looked at her arms. Through the bandages, she could see patches of damaged skin. She would carry the marks of the fire for the rest of her life. I do not care about scars, Yuna said. Scars mean I survived. Sora touched one of the bandages with her small paw. We have scars too, she said. Inside. From losing our parents. From seeing the fire. We will heal together. Pack Mother. Yuna felt her heart swell with emotion. These cubs had lost everything. Their home, their families, their entire world. And yet, they were thinking about her healing. They were thinking about helping her. Yes, Yuna said, we will heal together. The days that followed were slow and difficult. Yuna had to learn how to move again, how to use her damaged muscles and burned skin. The physical therapy was painful, and there were many times when she wanted to give up. But the cubs were always there. They would sit beside her during her exercises, making encouraging sounds. When she fell, they would press against her, letting her know she was not alone. When she cried from the pain, they would purr until she felt better. Kira visited every day. She told Yuna stories about Vec culture, about their traditions and beliefs. She explained what it meant to be a pack mother, the responsibilities and honors that came with the title. You are part of our people now, Kira said one day. When we return to our home world, the elders will want to meet you. They will want to thank you for what you did. I did not do it for thanks, Yuna said. I know. That is why the thanks will be given. The Horizon continued its journey through space. They were heading toward a neutral station where the Vex survivors could be transferred to their own ships. But Yuna was beginning to realize that the transfer might not be simple. The cubs had made their choice. They had chosen her. And Yuna was beginning to realize that she had made a choice too. She was not just their pack mother. They were her pack. Her family. Her reason to keep fighting. To keep healing. To keep living. She looked at Sora, sleeping beside her. At Wu and Nari and Un and Te and Bora, arranged around the bed. 6 small lives that depended on her. 6 hearts that beat with love for her. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The neutral station appeared on the horizon's screens like a star made of metal. It was massive, a spinning wheel of docking bays and corridors where ships from every species came to trade and talk. This was where the Vex survivors would meet their rescue ships. This was where goodbyes would be said. Yuna stood at the observation window, watching the station grow larger. She was out of the medical bay now, though she still moved slowly and carefully. Her burns had healed into scars, pink and white patterns across her arms and legs. The doctors said she was lucky to be alive. Sora stood beside her, holding Yuna's hand with her small paw. The other cubs were nearby, never far from their pack mother. They had spent weeks together now, learning each other's languages and habits and hearts. "Are you scared?" Sora asked. "A little," Yuna admitted. "I do not know what will happen next." The truth was complicated. The cubs had chosen Yuna as their pack mother, but that did not mean they could stay with her. There were rules, laws, agreements between species. A human raising Vec children was not something that had ever been done before. Captain Tay had sent messages ahead to the station. He had explained the situation to both human and Vec officials. The responses had been mixed. Some were supportive. Others were confused. A few were angry. "The Vec elders are coming to the station," Kira had told Yuna the day before. "They want to meet you. They want to see the cubs. Will they take them away from me?" Yuna had asked. Kira had been quiet for a long moment. "I do not know. The elders are wise, but they are also traditional. A human pack mother is something new, something they will need to think about carefully." Now, as the horizon docked with the station, Yuna felt her heart beating fast. She had faced fire and death, but this scared her more. The idea of losing the cubs, of being separated from them after everything they had been through together, was more than she could bear. "Pack Mother," Sora said quietly, "whatever happens, we will not forget you. You are written in our hearts now. No one can take that away." Yuna knelt down and gathered all 6 cubs into her arms. They pressed against her, purring and making soft sounds of comfort. "And you are written in mine," Yuna whispered. "Whatever happens, I will fight for us. I promise." The meeting took place in a large room in the center of the station. On one side sat the human officials, including Captain Tay, and representatives from Earth's government. On the other side sat the Vec elders, 3 ancient creatures with gray fur and wise eyes. Kira stood between the two groups as a translator and witness. Yuna sat in the middle of the room with the cubs around her. She felt like she was on trial. In a way, she was. The oldest Vec elder, a female named Hana, spoke first. Her voice was rough with age but filled with authority. "We have heard the story of what you did," Elder Hana said to Yuna. "We have spoken with the survivors of the colony ship. We have watched the recordings from your vessel." She paused. "We have never seen a human do what you did." "I did what was right," Yuna said simply. "Children were dying. I helped them." "You nearly died yourself," another elder said. "Your body is marked with scars from the fire. Why would you suffer so much for children who are not your species?" Yuna thought about the question. She had asked herself the same thing many times in the weeks since the rescue. "When I saw them in the nursery," she said slowly, "I did not see Vec children. I just saw children. Small and scared and crying for help. My body moved before my mind could think about species or history or fear." She looked at the cubs beside her. "And now, after all these weeks, I do not see Vec children anymore. I see Sora. I see Wu, Nari, Un, Tay, and Bora. I see my family." The elders looked at each other. Something passed between them, some understanding that Yuna could not read. "The children have chosen you as their pack mother," Elder Hana said. "This is not a small thing. In our culture, the bond between a pack mother and her cubs is sacred. It cannot be broken by law or tradition." "But I am human," Yuna said. "I do not know your customs. I do not know how to raise Vec children." "You know how to love them," the elder replied. "That is more important than any custom." She turned to the other elders and spoke rapidly in the Vec language. They discussed for several minutes, their voices rising and falling. Finally, Elder Hana turned back to Yuna. "We have decided," she said. "The children will stay with you." Yuna felt tears fill her eyes. The cubs made sounds of joy and pressed closer to her. "But," the elder continued, There are conditions. You must learn our language and our ways. You must bring the children to our homeworld regularly so they can know their heritage. And you must allow us to help you. Raising Vec cubs is not easy, even for Vec parents. I agree, Yuna said immediately. I agree to everything. Elder Hannah smiled, showing teeth that were worn with age. Then it is settled. From this day forward, you are Pack Mother Yuna of the Vek. Your children are protected by our laws. Your family is recognized by our people. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Captain Tay stood up. There is one more thing, he said. The attack on the Vec colony ship. We have been investigating it. We believe we know who was responsible. The elders' faces grew serious. Tell us, Elder Hannah said. It was a group of human rebels. Extremists who believe that humans should rule the galaxy alone. They have attacked other species before, but never on this scale. The captain paused. We have captured some of them. They are in custody on the station. The room filled with tension. Yuna could feel anger coming from the Vec survivors who had gathered to watch the meeting. Humans had killed their families. Humans had destroyed their ship, but Elder Hannah raised her hand for silence. One human attacked us, she said. But another human saved our children. One human brought death, but another human walked through fire to bring life. She looked at Yuna with something that might have been respect. We cannot judge all humans by the actions of some. That is the thinking that leads to war. She turned to Captain Tay. We ask that the attackers be punished according to your laws. We will not demand blood revenge. Instead, we will remember this day. We will remember that a human woman loved our children more than her own life. The captain nodded. They will face justice. I promise you that. The meeting ended. The officials left, and the elders departed to prepare for their journey home. Only Kira remained, standing beside Yuna and the cubs. You have changed things, Kira said quietly. The relationship between our species may never be the same. Is that good or bad? Yuna asked. I do not know yet, but I believe it is good. Kira knelt down to be at eye level with the cubs. Take care of your pack mother. She has given you a second chance at life. Do not waste it. We will not, Sora said seriously. We will make her proud. Kira stood and placed a paw on Yuna's shoulder. If you ever need help, call for me. I will come. You are part of our people now, Yuna. That means something. Thank you, Yuna said. For everything. Kira nodded once, then turned and walked away. Later that night, Yuna sat in her quarters on the horizon with the cubs arranged around her. The ship was leaving the station, heading back toward Earth. For the first time in weeks, Yuna felt at peace. Pack Mother, Sora said. Tell us about Earth, Yuna smiled. It is a beautiful planet. There are oceans filled with water and mountains that touch the sky. There are forests and deserts and cities made of glass and steel. Are there other humans like you? Wu asked. Humans who are kind. Many, Yuna said. Not all humans are good, but many are. Just like not all Vec are good, but many are. Every species has both light and darkness inside them. The cubs thought about this for a moment. Will the humans on Earth like us? Nari asked. Her voice was small and worried. Yuna gathered the cub into her arms. Some will not. But that does not matter. What matters is that we are a family. We take care of each other. We protect each other. That is what pack means. That is what pack means, the cubs repeated together. Yuna looked out the window at the stars streaming past. Somewhere out there was Earth, her home. And now, the home of 6 Vec cubs who had lost everything except hope. She thought about the fire, about the pain, about the long weeks of healing. She thought about the scars on her body, and the ones that were still healing in her heart. She thought about all the things that had changed since that day when she heard the distress signal. She would not trade any of it, not a single moment, because that fire had not just taken something from her. It had given her something too. A family, a purpose, A reason to believe that the universe was not as dark as it sometimes seemed. The cubs began to purr, that low, warm sound that Yuna had come to love. She closed her eyes and let the vibration move through her body. She was Pack Mother Yuna now. She had walked through fire and come out the other side. She had 6 children who loved her, and a whole future waiting to be written. And for the first time in a long time, she was not afraid of what came next. She was home. Not in a place, but in the hearts of her pack. And that was enough.